Hey everyone, and welcome back to the No Matter What Club podcast. Today we welcome Sandra Vergara to the studio. Sandra is a journalist, TV host, and mental health coach known for her ability to bridge entertainment with meaningful conversations. She began her career as a lifestyle correspondent for Yahoo Digital and went on to host for E!, working alongside icons like RuPaul. Most recently, she served as the LA correspondent for Peoples, the TV show. Sandra is passionate about emotional healing, recovery, and the power of storytelling. Drawing from her own lived experience, she speaks openly about sobriety, self-worth, and the journey to reclaim inner peace. Her mission is to hold space for real transformation with honesty and compassion. Please, please, please help me welcome Sandra to the show. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the No Matter What Club. I'm so excited to be joined by our two co-hosts, Anthony Aranaga Grayson, my husband and the co-founder of No Matter What Recovery, and Mell McCracken, our executive director over at No Matter What.
Yay!
And we're so excited. We've been planning for months for our next guest. Please give it up for Sandra Vergara, who's in the house today.
Woo! No pressure. Hey. I am so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you, and I can't wait for the world to see how beautiful you look today.
Thank you. So this is so funny. I was on Instagram, and all of a sudden I see Mell. I was like, Mell has a podcast? What? And I was like, I gotta be in it.
Yeah.
Because I have so much respect for Mell. Like, they were one of the most amazing recovery counselors I've ever experienced during my recovery, and so it was done deal. I'm like, okay, they have a podcast, I'm in. So I messaged them, and then they messaged you, and here we are, baby.
Here we are. I know.
Bang, bang,
Ready.
Thank you. I take that to heart. Thank you so much. Such kind, generous.
It's just the truth.
I love it. Well, do you want to tell us a little bit about your recovery journey?
Of course.
Like
What happened?
Yeah.
What happened? How it was, what it was like, what I'm doing now. Okay, so I started drinking when I was about 15. I'm from Colombia, so it's pretty normal. It's pretty natural to start at a young age. Now, it wasn't alcoholically. I drank like a normal person for the most. I think the first time I got wasted, but every teenager gets wasted. After that, though, it was a pretty nice, normal, like good rhythm. Growing up in Colombia, I experienced a lot of trauma, like extreme trauma. Just a lot of like being thrown around from one place to another, not really have a foundation, different families, different like rules. And, you know, that still didn't really get me to drink. Bad. But around when I was like around in my mid-20s, I was in a relationship in my mid-20s, and it was, up until then, I didn't take anything personal. See, that was my thing as a kid. I'm like, I survived everything because for some reason I had this, I would say it's a gift of not taking abuse personal. Didn't mean that I felt like I deserved it, but it meant that I didn't become a victim by it somehow. Till I did. And that's when alcoholism kicks in, because, you know, it goes hand in hand with feeling like a victim. So in this abusive relationship, I started taking things personal, and I started drinking a lot, and then it started, you know, here and there, and then it became problematic. Was there a cinematic bottom? Not really. There wasn't a DUI, but there was a complete demoralization of like drinking and becoming, you know, saying the things you don't want to say. I might have peed in a laundry hamper.
You're probably not alone in that. Just for everyone out there.
Retaliation in a, you know, at a moment or a fight with this person. And so I went to Colombia, to this place called Rehumanize the Dreams of the Soul. It was a rehab that was 12-step based.
Wow.
And I decided that in order for me to remain sober, I had to end that relationship. Obviously, I believe in sobriety I wouldn't be in an abusive relationship anyway, but that had to end. And so I quit drinking, and I loved it, and it was amazing. But
had you ever considered like sobriety before then, or drinking was problematic?
No.
Okay.
No, well, yes. There was like, okay, I'm going to check out AA.
Tiptoe.
And I did the whole, like, the dance around, you know, what we call in AA, the obsession of the mind. Let me change it and see if I eat this, I won't get as wasted. I did all that for like a year. There was a lot of trial
Became
and
the
error.
chemist. Like trying
Of course,
to
you're
mix
like,
and match.
you're a chemist. You're like, okay, if you eat this, if you're not in this mood, maybe if you plan a different date, maybe it's this person. The whole, you know, delusion, right? Because I think that at the base of this disease is that dream that maybe I can drink like a normal person, and then that ends, and that's when you wake up, or you don't.
I
So
think that's a common dream that everyone has when they get sober, right? It's that, like, if I, you know,
before they get sober,
let me try to be a weekend warrior. Let me try to. They say it in the book, right? Let me try to drink wine instead of brandy, or
Yeah,
you know, it's that bargaining, it's that
the bargaining,
the manipulation piece of it. I mean, yeah.
because it's your medicine, it's your go-to. I mean, it's a tool. It's a wonderful tool. It saved my life. I could have thrown myself out of the balcony in the state I was, and instead I drank. But like every tool, it stops working, and it stopped working, and
So you complete the program.
so I complete the program.
What did you call it? Rehumanizing the dreams of the soul?
Rehumanizar los sueños del alma.
I
Yes.
knew it was going to sound much better.
It
than
just
Rehumanizar
like,
los sueños del
I
alma.
was
Spanish
like,
that does in
wow,
English.
okay.
Here's the thing, though. I have this ability to be so charming, and it's real. I'm not like one-upping anybody, but it can backfire.
You are a charmer.
I was the bestie of everybody in rehab, including the counselors. So I had special treatment. I got like I would go around town with them. Like I was treated differently than the other addicts, so which gave me the illusion I'm not that bad.
It fills a false narrative, right? It's
Because just because I was very smart and like empathetic, right? You can almost like know how to like it in a way. It did me a disservice.
Yeah.
Because like that's the thing. When you go through a lot of trauma and you survive, it gives you this self-righteousness of like, if I made it, who are you to tell me what's gonna work for me?
One of the
Right.
things that I struggle with is having a huge ego and low self-esteem. It's that like piece of like, you know, I carry myself a certain way, but like inside my default messaging that I tell myself is I'm a piece of shit. Or that's my default.
Yeah.
And I've learned through the program and through 12 steps and through doing some work with the therapist is like there's that negative self-talk that is our default that we go to, and how to reframe that narrative and
Yeah.
really start giving ourselves positive messaging.
Yeah.
But not from like a one-up position,
No,
right? Which
no.
I can see like people move into that, just like what you were saying, is like specialness, right? And being the unique one, and like all of those things are very true in some regard. But when it comes to alcoholism, that's just oxygen for the fire.
That's just fuel.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I left feeling great. Then, you know,
What year was that?
this was 2015.
Okay.
And so I came back to LA. I was single. I did AA, not fully, like half-assed AA. Recovery a la carte. I think I learned that from you.
Yes, that's something I will say.
You know, I got my usual, you know, like recovery a la carte, but it felt great. At about 11 months, I got into a relationship, and we went to Thailand, and we got into a fight, and I relapsed. And it was bad relapse. I was a disaster. So I came back completely with my head up. Like I was just, that demoralization happens again, and you're like, oh my God, and I have to start again. So I go back to AA. It works. Then I relapse again a couple months later because I'm not really doing AA. And one day I wake up and I go, I had a cat called Stewie, and he was like my everything, which is not good. Well, you can't make anything your higher power. And I'll circle back to this because I've been studying and practicing Kabbalah, and this is what it explains, why you cannot make anything your higher power. So he was my everything, so I swore on his life I wasn't going to drink. It worked. I didn't drink Year and a half comes by. I got this job with People magazine. I'm in New York, working for Yahoo. Everything's great. All of a sudden, shrooms. Shrooms appear in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wasn't yet in California, but my Californian sober movement began in New York.
Started on the East Coast.
So it wasn't like a recreational, I want to get high shroom moment. It was a psychedelic as a therapeutic modality kind of thing. Like what was the...
Okay. Okay, I can tell you what I felt then and how I really see it now. If you're an addict or an alcoholic, there's no such thing as therapeutic psychedelic experience. It's in the name of your podcast. You don't get high no matter what. We don't use substances. So was it therapeutical? Sure. Was I going through some weird rut with like relationships? I don't even know, but it felt great. And I went to a waterfall, so of course it felt healing and amazing. And that's how it begins. And once it's activated, that door, once we cross that path, at least I'm speaking from my perspective. I'm not judging anyone. There might be people in addiction that use psychedelics. Bless them. I don't believe it's a tool for addicts or alcoholics in recovery at all. So, and my experience, I lived it.
Right.
So
you.
here's the thing. It was amazing because I didn't relapse on alcohol. I didn't go off the handle. I didn't use any other drugs. I was cool on psychedelics for years before it became a problem. So I moved to LA, it's 2020. COVID happens. I'm painting better than ever. I'm a painter.
Sandra's an amazing artist.
Oh, wow.
Like,
So are you.
Incredible. Thank
Thank you.
You're incredible.
Thank you. I'm painting and shrooming, and of course, it's a spiritual experience.
Right, totally.
My best art.
Colors are coming alive.
Yeah, and I'm like in my house by myself. COVID was the best experience for me. I'm getting to know myself, and my talents are all over the place. Great. COVID ends. I get a job with People magazine. I was their TV host for the West Coast. It's fantastic. I interview awesome people. Love it. The show ends. It gets canceled earlier because somebody buys the company. But it had a 2.5-year run. It was great. And I lose the plot. Stewie gets really sick, my cat, and dies. And my uncle dies weeks apart. And my count, like in Colombia, it's called Godfather, which is my recovery, like my sponsor from Rehumanizar has a heart attack. So I went in through balls deep, part of my, if that's rude,
No.
grief, unmanageable grief. And of course, I was out of AA. Had I been in AA, I'm like, okay, I have a solution. But because I was in trippy world, my solution was going into a journey. So I went into a journey, a ceremony, deep. I felt it. I was so close to God and to my grief, and I felt them on the other side, and it was so profound, and I felt like I was healing because you feel so much, but it's a trap, and that's why California is sober. It's not sober because it's not a solution. We need a spiritual solution. We don't need anything outside of us that will replace or fill the gut-sized hole that a lot of us have when we use drugs and alcohol. That's what we're covering.
Yeah.
So using psychedelics was a trap because I did my journeys, and then I started doing ketamine for depression. That was game over. Because ketamine, after a couple times of using it the right way, they send it to you. It's all legal.
Right.
But you have an hour of a session. There's no
office.
And they knew I had a recovery with alcohol. They knew.
Yeah.
Like a previous substance
Oh
use.
yeah, I was actually honest. So all of that was fuel to my justification of like, I'm doing this
Oh, they know I'm on the up and up.
and I felt like it was working.
Right.
Because that's the trick. It works. till it doesn't.
Yeah.
I struggle with this topic. I know how I feel for me.
Right.
And for me, I cannot do any mind-altering substances. My drug of choice was much harder substances, but I know marijuana or even alcohol will lead me to the harder,
Handcuffs.
That's right.
And so, I know how I feel and I know what works for me. But I also have friends who have tried all other have tried all other prescription drugs for anxiety and depression, and nothing has worked, and they are microdosing mushrooms, and that works for them.
Are they addicts or alcoholics?
They are recovering crystal meth addict, yes. And so, and I love that they're in a space now where it works for them and their mental health is better today. I just know for me, it wouldn't work. I also know stories of people who, like you, have gone down the ketamine route and it doesn't work,
they just
and they
don't
end
come
up
back.
relapsing.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Sorry to interrupt you,
okay.
because you
Go
did
ahead.
something great.
Please.
You think that if you use it, it will lead you back to the hard stuff. I never drank again. I didn't.
Yeah.
So I
But
didn't.
you're using it alcoholically.
Of course.
Yeah.
So even if you don't go back to your
Substance
your
of choice.
drug of choice, you have that. It becomes a solution that is not it's not permanent. And with all due respect to your friends and everything, because I actually believe that they may just be hard users and not actual addicts, alcoholics. Because I don't know, man, drugs or not, it's a personality
I mean, same.
of like, like, can you microdose anything?
No, that's not, like, I know me, I know my system, and, like, my addiction
What's
would
the
be
point of
instantly-
microdosing?
That part, too, it is kind of, what's the...
Right.
But I guess that...
To me,
And that's, for me, like, I want more.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
Like,
once-
I'm at my ISM, in search of more, like, that's what it stands for
Yeah.
me. Like, I can't stop.
No.
But if you can, great.
Yeah.
If you can microdose, great.
Exactly.
I can't.
Yeah.
so that's
No.
why what I believe is, like, a lot of people that think they're, in recovery because they're alcoholics and addicts may not be actual alcoholics and addicts. They may be, like what in the book says, the very hard drinker that blurs the line between alcoholic but not.
That like gray area.
There's a
where
gray
it's, like,
area.
super problematic, but maybe you don't.
But
have
maybe
the
you
thing
don't
that
have the
turns on like we
actual
do.
ism,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because
I wish I could use crystal meth like a gentleman.
It's like never gonna happen.
What that look like with your pinky
One
up?
of the things that I want to talk about that that you mentioned is I think that the terminology California sober was very harmful.
oh yeah,
Because what it did was it made what some would consider a harm reduction approach cool and trendy rather than a life-saving method to prevent people from overdosing or
overdose,
dying.
yeah.
And so, and working in the treatment field, not to be an asshole, but there are all of these programs that are saying that, they offer a harm reduction approach or they have a marijuana maintenance sober living. And for me, like, you can't have marijuana maintenance and sober in the same sentence. But, the verbiage and as addicts and alcoholics, we like to take things and turn it into the Bible.
Oh,
Right?
yeah,
Like,
I'm gonna spin this.
Any excuse I can have to shoot crystal meth, I'm going to.
Yeah.
If I have an unhealed mind, if I'm not a current spiritual connection, for me, my addiction is a 3-part disease. It's mental, physical, and spiritual.
that's what it says in the book.
And so if I'm not connected in the triangle for me in all 3 ways, if I'm not being of service, if I'm not calling my sponsor, if I'm not showing up for friends in the program, if I'm not in the book, if I'm not living my life with integrity and showing up authentically and surrendering the outcome and all of the things we learn in the program, then I'm cranky, And the thing that I love that I've gotten from the accountability piece in my sobriety is I have a husband, I have friends, I have colleagues that will be like, girl, what's going on with you? Like something's not right.
Yeah, of course.
The
You know?
truth tellers.
But I do think using the term California sober got very reckless.
Yeah.
And I think that it, you know, it gave permission to have something cool and try. And the crazy thing is, it happened at the same time that like TikTok started taking off and like social media, and it was like I started seeing California sober everywhere, like in every algorithm and everything. And for me, just to kind of clarify as well, I know that I got sober in the 12 steps in a 12-step program. And like I said, I can't use crystal meth like a gentleman. If I drink a drink, I will break out in handcuffs. Like that's just me. That's my story.
Right.
Or I'll end up on my deathbed because I went out on a dose of GHB after 8 years sober. And in my head, I said, am I going to throw away 8 years for one dose of GHB? That's the narrative I told myself. And that one dose of G was 3 years of misery.
Wow. That's crazy. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, as you were saying, it got harmful, the California sober term. Yes, but also it had to happen because how else would we know? They were going to try something, and it's through trial and error that you see, and it's only the beginning. I mean, the whole ketamine thing, it's fresh.
Well, I'll tell you, it's hot right now.
Yeah.
Right, but you said that they're using this as a life-saving instead of using a life-saving method, and in my opinion, the only life-saving method is abstinence and a spiritual solution.
So this therapy that you were participating in, you thought was therapy at the time?
Yeah.
Right. And they were leading you down a path, this ketamine
Yeah.
operation. At what point did you realize, and tell us what was happening at that point when you realized, oh, fuck, this is a problem. Like,
Was there
tell
an
us,
intervention?
paint a
What
picture.
happened? Yeah.
To paint a
Oh,
picture, like how did your life
great.
spiral out of control? Yeah.
So I went on another journey, and I met somebody who actually had ketamine for sale. So that's it.
You met the plug.
I met the plug,
Yeah.
and she was an accountant from New York, really nerdy-looking girl. So
Yeah.
it felt safe.
Yeah, you're like, this is good. All right.
This
She's
chick's got
kosher.
everything. She's got her life together.
Yeah, and so, I had the plug, and then I was, doing it on my schedule, and I knew how to do it because I did the whole thing, so I would integrate myself and write on my
okay.
journal.
Right.
And then here's how it happened for me. My cousin, this is funny, I would do it maybe 3 times a week.
It's a lot
So-
of journeys.
But it's not every day, right?
Right.
And it's not a lot. It was a gram a week, so that's not that bad.
Yeah.
So, but here's how it was. I have an Oculus. Do you know what that is? A VR set?
He has one. He loves it.
All right. So, you're gonna love this.
Well,
So I would
off ketamine.
on Tuesday, Wednesday, I would get my thing going, get on my Oculus, get on my K-hole, and going through a tour through the solar system on a video game that just showed you real deal that you were in the
Right.
planets.
Yeah.
You can't compare that with real life. How do you come back here from that?
Don't try this at home.
No, but my point is,
Yes.
that was awesome, and I was in my own world, but that's extremely isolating. So my cousin Vanessa, who I grew up with, came to visit from Colombia. She and I are like this. She knows me more than anybody. And I'm out at dinner with her and her husband, and all I can think about is like, can't wait to go home and get on my Oculus and just... All of this was all I could think of. Any situation was comparing it to being in a K-hole with Stewie and my dead family and my grief and also in space. So Vanessa had to go to a concert. So I'm like, perfect, they're going out. They were staying with me. And the concert gets canceled. She comes back and she finds me in the bathroom.
Oh.
In a real deep K-hole.
Yikes.
And she's like, what is
What?
happening?
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You wake up very disoriented. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's okay. No, I'll go to AA. It happened again. And Vanessa's like, this. So I called my nephew, and he took me to rehab. And I said yes. And that was it. And it was great. Rehab was amazing because this was a very trauma-based place. But rehab is great, but you have to always integrate it with a spiritual practice. Like 12 steps. In my case, 12 steps and Kabbalah, which is a spiritual practice. And for me, the solution to feeling whole or like you don't need to reach outside is selfless. Because it's a self-centered thing. It's me. I'm a me monster. It's like my pity. It's my sadness. It's me. But if you remove the me and you have a purpose that's based on service and you're doing it via higher power, whatever you call it, mine is the light of the creator. If I act like the light, then I don't need external validation to feel whole. I don't need, because I'm not lacking.
I feel like that is the barometer that a lot of people have to ask themselves if it is becoming a problem, and whether it's a problem. Like, is it affecting your relationships? You know, you had chosen not to go to a concert.
Oh, no, I
maybe?
wasn't invited to the concert. They had that plan.
Okay.
But at dinner, you were thinking about it
Oh,
rather
yeah.
than enjoying the
Yeah.
time.
It
It
takes
takes
time.
front and center.
Right.
It takes it's the front
Yeah.
and center.
How is it affecting your daily life?
Right.
You know, and
Yeah.
for some people it's financial, some people it's relationships, you know, some people it's work, you know, like those are the things that we have to like look at when
Right.
we're asking ourselves, is this a problem?
Right.
You know.
So one of the things that I, am getting from this conversation, and I do want to clarify, because as in my opinion, people with substance use disorders may not be the perfect candidate for these treatments that are geared for mental health treatment, right? Which is the ketamine treatment is geared for severe depression, right? And so for someone that has severe depression, that has tried all kinds of different psych meds, and I'm looking at Mell as I have this as I say this to make sure that I'm saying it and that I'm understanding it correctly, is in order to get ketamine approved, treatment approved, what I thought, but what it sounds like what you had disclosed was much more lax than what I'm hearing. You have to, I guess in order for insurance to cover it, you have to prove that you were prescribed 2 to 3 different failed psychiatric medications, and then you would get approved for ketamine.
I think there should be some serious regulations around the use of psychedelics, even to treat like severe
Suicidal depression.
Suicidal depression.
Right.
Like, I think it's one thing for someone who is suicidally depressed to go into an office where there's a container, where you have a psych, where you have a therapist. Like,
contained
it's contained.
It has to be
versus,
extreme
like,
integration.
like all of that has to be a part of it. Like the pre and the like, there's so, we are just on the forefront of all of this.
Right.
Really,
Yeah.
like, it's a lot of people have hit the ground running with it, and I think we need to pull back and we need to pause, because I think it's putting people's lives like yours at risk.
Yeah.
Because it is just like kind of, oh, you're depressed, here you go, here's this,
Yeah.
here's that, here's this, and it's like, that's not what its purpose
It
or
isn't.
intention is.
No.
It's for those who can't
to
get
knock
out of
a
bed
horse
and are
out.
dying.
That's the purpose
Yeah.
and intention.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true.
It's an anesthetic, so it's like you're using a numbing agent when you're a number,
Right,
By
exactly.
default,
Like,
kind of like it's a paradox, isn't it?
Right.
Now I'm pro medicine, like I take antidepressants,
Yeah.
but they're not mind altering, at
Right.
least not immediately.
Right.
Like
Right.
I don't have an effect.
Yeah.
Right.
They work over weeks and weeks, and
Yeah.
I'm totally pro antidepressants.
Yeah. I love that we're having this conversation, because we are seeing in the treatment world
yeah,
more ketamine use than we have ever seen.
ever.
And I unfortunately, the Matthew Perry of it all, it's very, that was a very public death, and they did it to ketamine. And then also, one of my favorite drag queens, the Vivian from RuPaul's Drag Race, she died of a ketamine overdose in December. And that became public. And so, you're starting to see a lot more talk about ketamine in the media. And I'm sure it's very socially acceptable in the clubs, like in the club scene.
I don't know. I think about that too, because we, a lot of, the circuit folks
Yeah.
that go out to the dance clubs and, they end up in their
Trail mix.
addiction.
Yeah.
and they are using party drugs then in sobriety to treat sobriety problems. I don't
can't do that.
That's where I'm like, yeah,
It's the hard-
sobriety.
Right.
yeah.
It's nothing.
Yeah. And
Sobriety requires presence.
Right.
You're not present on substances.
No.
I think I think that it is, and it's sad because what I'll tell you is the clients that come through our door that have ketamine or they want to seek ketamine therapy, this is something they will die on the cross for. Like, there's no, like,
Seriously.
we're in an
Yeah.
abstinence-based program. Let's relook at ketamine with your psych after you finish rehab in 90 days. And they'll be like, nope, I'm not doing treatment. I have to do this ketamine treatment.
Huh. I wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
There's
Of
not,
course,
there's not a
yeah.
negotiation piece.
No.
Yeah,
with
that's a red flag.
it. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a clear one.
Yeah.
And it's
And
like,
it's probably as dangerous as like Adderall for meth addicts, you know, and like doing high doses of Adderall or oxys or, you know what I mean? I think that there's,
well, I'm thinking about, like, I'm just like going through like kind of history in my mind of like, you know, we had the opiate crisis hit, and then Anna Nicole Smith died, and it was related to opiates. So then they started to like pull back a lot of the regulations around prescriptions and how much could be prescribed to one person. So, I mean, it's as unfortunate as it is that there's some really high profile attention, which I've already kind of feel like, why do we have to look at that and for this to have a change?
totally.
But with that comes, you know, the optics and like looking closer at like what we're actually prescribing to people and its effectiveness for someone who has an ism, right? Not for someone who is like kind of teetering in the gray area, but like that's really, I think it's very dangerous and can be lethal, clearly, for a
Yeah.
lot of folks.
And that's what you don't know always. If you're in the gray area or you're in the red.
It's like, how do we
And
have a
California
barometer?
sober makes it sound cool.
Right.
Yeah, but for anyone who's serious about sobriety, they know it's bullshit.
Right. Yeah.
Cool or not.
I mean, the whole harm reduction, its roots are founded in like just people not dying.
Right.
This was not.
But
the idea
California
of harm
sober is not
reduction.
harm reduction.
No, but it's
But it
framed.
was guys that
Right,
way.
but
Like-
it's glorified. It's
Exactly.
glorified drug use.
That's the problem. Is like it's not actually
It's not like, you know,
in
like-
the way that it's framed to the
Right.
public. Yeah, it's like
Right.
you can just do this.
And it's I think it caters to that bargaining phase.
Right.
You know, it caters to that phase of like, am I ready to
course.
go all into sobriety, or am
Yeah.
I?
Yeah, it's a buffer.
It is. It can be definitely this like tricky kind of. You know, they say that our disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful.
It
right?
is.
And so you see a short. I'm a recovering crystal meth addict. I love instant gratification. I love a shortcut. I love, you know, if there's the long way and there's a short way, I'm going to choose the short way. No matter how many times I know if I touch the hot fucking stove, I'm going to burn my hand.
That's a good
right?
marker.
And so you go that way because you're like, oh, you know, I'm not shooting crystal meth intravenously, but there's a way for me to not have to feel and deal with the grief and trauma of life and coming
That's
out as
right.
queer and being
Yeah.
gay and feeling, you know, like I don't fit in, or, you know, dealing with generational trauma or whatever it is. There's this shortcut where I don't have to feel. Of course, if you're in that bargaining phase of trying to figure out where you want to get sober and all of that, I would go that way too.
Right, and then
Yeah.
you'll fail. Most definitely, most likely. That's what happens. And, you know, there are actual harm reductions. I guess when it comes to opiates, there's Suboxone, right?
Suboxone.
There's
Suboxone,
stuff like that. It's
yes.
monitored, it's prescribed.
Sure.
California sober is off to the races. You know, it's a group of people that have no medical, like, it's
Right.
just,
There's no guidance.
California sober is for people that may not be addicts and alcoholics who are heavy drinkers and smoke weed. California sober is not for sobriety. It's not a branch of sobriety. Because in my opinion, sobriety requires abstinence from the drug or the substance that you're addicted to.
Well, sobriety literally translates to clarity.
It's clarity.
That's what sober means, clarity.
You can be
That's it.
clarity clouded by a substance or influenced by anything.
That's right. Because that's the literal
So
translation.
anything that you feel like you need to escape, that's the marker that
That's your
That's
invitation.
wrong.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like, go to that.
Yeah,
Like,
like
what are
you
you
said
trying to
it.
get away from?
Oh, there's a shortcut. Okay, so there's this shortcut where I can feel less, but it has less consequences. That's still a bad one. That shortcut, again, we are all very professionals at loopholing. The loopholes never work, really. It's a shortcut that ends up taking the
long way
Long
around.
10 times longer.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
10 times. And in my opinion, I used to loophole on a lot of things, not just. I used to like to Mickey Mouse everything. Let me take that shortcut because why? It's this entitlement of like, I have no patience, I need it now. That instant gratification that needs to be transformed. And it can't be transformed with a people, person, or a thing. Can't, because then that thing becomes the new
animal,
thing.
right.
Or an animal. Everything that becomes external substitution for a higher power, it's going to be taken away.
It will. Yeah. Yeah.
And on that, we talk about this a lot because I grew up in a family where it was very dramatically Catholic, right? And I was told that being gay is a sin.
Oh, God.
And I can't exist as a person. I can't look at my husband. I can't touch him. I can't say I love you. All of the things that I do in this gay relationship is a sin, and I'm going to hell. That's how I was raised. And
I'm
so
so sorry.
that religious trauma for me,
Yeah.
when I heard the word God, when I entered the rooms, I had to learn how to equate that to group of drunks or good orderly direction, because I cringed every time I heard the word God. And it took a few years for me to be able to understand that I get the ability, and this is what I love about 12 steps, is that my higher power can look like whatever I want it to look like.
And that's what it is.
And I'll remember I was driving in my car, and I had about 6 years sober, and I was crying, and I said, I don't know what you look like, and I need to see you to believe in you. You have to show yourself to me.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks later, my mom died.
Oh, my God.
And now I pray to my mom.
Wow.
And it has changed the course of my sobriety. Because I don't know. It was just the vulnerability. It was the time and place. I was open. I don't know what it was. But the having the rooms as my higher power kept me sober for years.
Wow.
Because for me, it was the community piece that I needed.
Of course.
Because I just wanted to be loved.
Right.
I didn't know how to be loved, but I just wanted to be loved. And that's what fueled my addiction, right?
That's beautiful.
They say looking for love in a hopeless place, or, the apps, or going to bars, or going to bathhouses, or going to all these places. I just wanted someone to hug me.
But that's what God is. Yeah. It might be for some a cheesy bumper sticker, but God is love. God is love. And that's why that idea that you got as a kid of God is complete. It's false. It's an illusion. It's somebody else's fear. Because people that have those kind of beliefs, they're afraid. They're afraid of something that they think it's wrong, or they're afraid that their life or structures are going to fall if things go in a certain way. I don't know what it is, but that's not God. God loves
That's fair.
everyone. God doesn't care if you're gay, straight. God even loves killers. God loves everyone. God doesn't have a judgmental aspect of like, God loves anybody and everybody, but my belief is how you use your vehicle, your vessel, with the light of God. And in my case, my solution is when the noise of self is out of the equation. Because if I start hearing my ego and myself, then I'm doing things for myself. But if I quiet that part, then I'm there for others. I come from a giving place, and you watch everything transform around you.
Because you're transformed.
Right.
Yeah.
Because people can feel it.
They do. They feel it. And the people that you interact with, the people that come into your life start to look different, right? People start to leave your life. Like maybe that person that
That's
you are
God.
obsessed with doesn't text you as much anymore. And then like another, like all of this, but like it's putting out that love and that light into the world that will draw that to you.
And you
Exactly.
have that naturally.
Thank
You
you.
have that. I mean, I'm sure you've worked on it your
Every day,
your
every day.
But it's
Yeah.
it's an everyday thing. That's another thing. It's not a one-shot fix-all.
No.
Just like we were very diligent with using, you
Right.
have to be as diligent or more with your
recovery.
sobriety.
Yeah.
Recovery is an everyday thing. However you want to do it, you have to give it the same amount of respect you gave it to drugs.
And the part about the God is love concept, I mean, I didn't know any of that until I got sober. Right?
Right.
Like I may have, like, when I got sober, I realized, oh yeah, that's what God can be, right, in our lives. And, you know, for some reason that just didn't click when I was growing up. And in a similar situation in Catholicism as a kid, right? It was a different message that I was getting back then.
Yeah, it was very much like some sky daddy throwing thunderbolts at me if I
Right,
misbehaved,
right,
right? Like,
right.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
this-
I'm thinking in
these are
pure
the-
thoughts. Oh, there's a lightning bolt.
Right,
Yeah.
there's another, yeah, and it just, but then you're right, you enter in sobriety and it no longer is something that is above or below. It's actually something that you can
The channel.
access every single second of
The
the
source.
day and live through. It is. There's source and self. That's how I always know.
Source and vessel.
Right? Like when I'm pulling from the me monster, I love that you call it. I'm going to take that one with me. But
Please.
yeah, when I'm pulling from the me monster, it's usually like there's a lot of resistance. and
Or
it feels-
intensity.
Or intensity. Like it has a different feel. But when I am in source,
You're
there's
in flow.
ease. Like it feels natural. Like trying to force a painting versus like just sitting down and not even worried about the outcome and just using each brushstroke to guide you. Like
That's
it's
it.
very different.
That's a pure
Yeah.
experience of experiencing the light
Yeah.
of the Creator.
So how do you practice spirituality today?
Kabbalah. Like,
Does that look like just like do you spend a certain time meditating or
I go to the center, I study it a lot. So like the more you study it, the more you feel it, the more you embody it. And there's this teacher that I idolized.
this is
He's-
one that Tina Turner does, right?
I don't know.
It was like Tina
I'm not
Turner
doing
and
it for
Madonna.
trend.
No, the reason I'm asking is because it's really the only exposure that I've had to it. And in What's Love Got to Do with It, the movie where she was in the abusive relationship.
Maybe.
I
Oh.
think she had,
Turned
is
to
it
Kabbalah?
red beads? Is it beads that you?
It's like a red string.
Yeah, so she she was like in an abusive relationship, and I'm pretty sure it was Kabbalah where she had this conversation, and she like got enough power to leave an abusive relationship, and that's really the only reference that I have to it. But I saw it in the movie, and I was like, oh wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Funny that you say that. It might be, I'm going to look into it, but the way it appeared to me was about a couple months ago. This hasn't been a long time. It's been a month of intense practicing, but a couple, only very few. I had an emotional rock bottom. I felt like the worst I felt during the year. I felt empty, and I felt like I was using things outside of me to give me a sense of higher power. I was going to AA, but nothing was working. And Instagram showed me this guy, David Guillaume, and he started to get, now he has almost 1 million followers, and he's this Kabbalah teacher. And I DM'd him. And usually you don't really, and he responded, and we met for coffee, and he was like, dude, Kabbalah 1, 2, 3. And like this, I started doing it, and like this, I got it. Because it was what my soul
you.
seeked. That's what it was. My whole life, I had my brush with Catholic. I grew up Catholic. When I was 9, we were in school. We went to church. I left the line into going to confession because I said, I'm not going to confess my sins to a sinner. At 9, I was shamed by my teacher, like, don't tell that to the other kids. But what happened was earlier, I saw a documentary that was talking about priests molesting kids.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, that shifted. I rebelled. That's
No.
it. This isn't for me at a very
Yeah.
young age. So my whole life I was looking for God, and I just found it on Instagram via David Guillaume. And so Kabbalah, what it is, it's simply like, it's just you, what it says is that you're basically born with something called tikkun, which is soul correction. So you know how it says you have childhood trauma and like we have generational trauma. According to Kabbalah, that doesn't make you. Trauma and the experience we go through are placed exactly for us to correct them, to transform them. So it's like, so you transform them. How do you transform them? Proactive versus reactive. So in Kabbalah, anything that is instant gratification for me to feel and fix a lack, that's reactive behavior. You have to turn it into proactive. You have to say, pause, what a gift. Why is this in my movie? What is this showing me that I need to correct within myself? What I love about it is that it gives you full-on responsibility for everything. You can't blame it on nobody no more. You get to change everything. Your relationship with my family, my relationship with work, my relationship with the line at the pharmacy that I used to get really impatient, and now I'm just like, why is this in my... It's teaching me to be patient.
Right. Yeah, there's nuggets and lessons from all of it, right? Yeah.
Because the self, we want everything. Like in Kabbalah, for example, instant gratification is anger, is yelling, is shouting, because it gives you energy.
That's right.
But that energy, it doesn't last. And what happens after? You feel emptier.
Yeah.
Because you
Emotional hangover. Yeah.
So, you know, it's working. I feel really good about myself, which I haven't in a long time. I've always felt good about myself, but it's different. It's not performative.
Yeah.
It's like from within. Because I always, a little bit, in some way, of loved external validation of some way or form, because I have a lot of trauma where I was told that if I wasn't useful or needed, I couldn't be loved. I was actually told this.
We're going to talk about capitalism with that. Like that we are
Like
spent
I was
on
told
production.
by family members that you know, you need to, because of your situation, because I had a crazy childhood story, but which it's too long and complicated, but basically I had the belief that I needed to be needed and at all times special in order to be loved. None of us do, because we're completely whole. Like we really truly are.
That's what I love about our program is that.
Tell me about your program. I want to know about No Matter What. Can I please?
I didn't mean that program. Like
Oh, never
program,
mind.
12-step program.
Yeah.
Is that we get to choose. We get to like figure out what works best for us spiritually.
That's right.
Right, and it may not be the religion that you were brought up in. It may be something else. It may be Kabbalah.
Right.
It may be a book that
But
you read.
it's all
that,
the same. It's
Yeah,
a higher
right.
power out of yourself.
Right, right, and back to what you were saying about God is love. It all circles back to love. Right, and that's, I kind of keep my program very simple today.
Yeah.
And it's how can I step forward? How can I lean into love every day? Like that's my guiding light in everything that I do. And so when I hear people share and sharing about the book and reciting things out of the book, I just keep it really simple and just how can I be the best version of love today of myself?
Well,
Yeah.
one of the slogans of AA, it's keep it simple, baby. So
Yeah.
you're right on the money with that one, Anthony.
So,
Yes.
something we ask all of our guests is, what's your no matter what?
No matter what. What's my no matter what? Even if I lose everything, material and not, I won't use no matter what.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I love it.
No matter what I lose. Because the most important thing is not to lose myself. So that's why no matter what,
Because this is home.
that's all I got.
That's it. Same.
And I think that as sober people, we know now that even if we did lose everything, God forbid that doesn't happen, but we can rebuild
Get it
again because
back.
we're resilient.
Yeah, we are.
As humans,
Yes,
right?
we are.
Like we were meant to root into this earth and grow just like a tree,
But I had reservations
Yeah.
with death. Like if this person dies, I might. And now I don't. Because that's not going to do them any favor. That's a reservation. So I've changed that.
The only reservations we make are for dinner.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Sandra, thank you so much for joining us. Please like and subscribe And we will see you next week on the No Matter What Club.
Correct.
Thank you, guys.